So you just got your brand new home reformer in the mail, in a box, and you're excited to use it. However, you got something like this, instructions that don't necessarily match what you might understand about a reformer. So not necessarily a bad thing, but it might confuse you a little bit. I looked online and was having a hard time finding anything on YouTube for these reformers. And I'm talking about the home units, the ones that run about $250 to $400, not the high-end commercial units that cost $5,000, which are also awesome, but everybody can't afford that. And the great news is that these are much less expensive. However, the instructions. So I decided to make a quick tutorial. I have been teaching Pilates for 25 years, so I do know how to put reformers together, yet I found I was having trouble putting the home unit together when I got it. And it's about 85% already put together in the box, which is great news. But there's a couple of little things that do not match in here, the terminology that you might be used to in your classes that you take at the studios. Or if you're brand new to Pilates, you definitely won't know the terminology. So I'd say take a look at your manual, and most of the reformers that are in that price range, they all are very similar reformers. So I will give you a basic guideline, but you might have to do some tweaking on your own. So take this with a grain of salt. Use it, but don't completely go on this. If you get confused, it's a-okay. I'm here to help. And if I don't answer any of your questions, throw them in the comments. I am happy to help you put your reformer together. So take this, throw it. Let's get started. Let me start with a little bit of terminology for you. I put the reformer on the side because when it comes in the box, and I haven't closed a photo so you have an idea if you haven't purchased yours yet of what size the box is. This will come folded. So what I want you to do once you unfold it is from here, I'm going to show you some of the pieces that are not going to be attached that you're going to have to attach on your own. So I'm going to give you some terminology so that you are clear on that in case the manual does not match what you think. Okay, so a couple of pieces that will come. This particular piece says something like headrest. This is not a headrest, okay? So that'll confuse you. This is for the front, okay? This is your foot pad. And the cool thing about this is that there's two different ways you can put it on. There's little holes in the front. I'll show you in a bit. But for now, just know this is a foot pad. So if you see it in the instructions and it says headrest, this is not your headrest. Okay, shoulder pads. Here we go. 2 shoulder pads. Put those down, jump board. Okay, so remember, all reformers do not come with a jump board. So please, if you want a jump board, make sure that you have ordered a reformer online that comes with your jump board. All right, let's start with the back so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, there's some pins right here. So when you get this, the pins are going to be in a little bag. So that's what these are for. It's to put your legs on in the back. Okay, pins here too. And this is all about folding your reformer. The great news is that they fold. So big commercial units, most of them don't fold. However, take note, it's not that easy to fold and roll away. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to use it each day, fold it, roll it away, it's a little heavier than that. So that's the good news. It's heavy, so that means it's sturdy, but it's heavy, so that's not the easiest thing to pull apart every single day. So just put that into consideration. But there are pins right here that you would pull in and out. And then the third set of pins that are going to come in that bag most likely are right here. So again, this folds in half. The machine folds in half, etc. Underneath here, this is a little different than probably if you've done reformer classes at a Pilates studio. We have springs, right? Now, most of the springs at a studio are colored. These springs on the lower end, less expensive units are not colored. They're all the same spring load. So I know there's a lot of confusion with springs, and that is to be expected. So just know that these springs that come on your machine are all the same tension versus the colored ones at your studio are different tensions, meaning the yellow might be the lightest, the green might be the heaviest. These are all going to be the same. However, something really cool about these home units is that they've added some tension here. See these bands? These are different color tensions. This can help add different stability and or instability as you're using the reformer. So a nice little addition that they've added to the home unit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, see how it's already folding like that? See, here's where your fold is. I am going to take this little unit and I'm going to flip it up here so you can see what we're doing. Okay, this particular unit came with these. What is this? You put them underneath the legs so that things do not slip. Okay, especially when you're doing jump board and you're jumping, things tend to slip around. So there's that. Let me pull this over so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So, shoulder pads, here we go. Shoulder pads. On this particular unit, and I've noticed that a lot of the $200 to $400 units have 2 different holes. Okay, so that's great. That depends on how tall you are. Okay, so if you're short, you're probably going to put these bad boys in the front. A little taller, put them on the back. Please note the dimensions on some of these reformers. What I noticed, and I'm short, is that if you are a very tall person, the home units all have different length dimensions. You may want to check in on which one you are purchasing and buy a longer unit, because you might feel that it's just not enough length for you for a lot of your exercises. So just something to note. Okay, so you've got shoulder pads removable. That's the great news. Why? Because if you take them off, you can use this as a mat, like a Pilates mat, right? So just something to consider. Headrest right here. You'll notice in the commercial units at the studios that the headrest goes up in usually 3 different positions, okay? High, middle, low. To keep your neck in neutral, and also if you're doing any exercises facing backwards, sometimes the instructor will ask you to flatten your headrest. This particular headrest only comes in one setting, so just something to note. Okay, this headrest was not on the machine when I got it. It was in the box. So just note that there's a little knob underneath here. So all you're going to do is stick this in, spin the knob until it's nice and tight. Hand and foot straps, guys. Remember, the short ones are the hand straps, the tall ones are the foot straps. You're going to need to adjust these on your own. These came in the box, but they were not attached like they normally would if you went to a studio. So just remember, you need to set these bad boys up. When you set them up, you're going to place them on your shoulder pads like so, and you're going to want to make sure that these are the same length, okay? This particular reformer has the ropes underneath, and it's a little bit confusing under there. There's an attachment, and I sort of had to spin it and put it into a knot. Again, a little bit confusing, and the manual didn't really tell me what to do with that, so I don't even know if I did it right, but it does seem to work no problem the way I knotted under there. So just put that into consideration. Also, see these 2 bad boys right here? These were not on the machine. I had to install them, and all I did was put them in. They're bumpers. So a bumper on a reformer is so that when you do jumps, that you have somewhere to hit so that it doesn't come all the way to the back of the machine and slam onto the back of your machine. Okay, these are called risers. In my manual, they were not called risers. I forget what they call them, but they're called risers in Pilates world. So I think that got me a little bit confused when I was installing these. There's just a little knob here that came apart, so I had to take the knob. Let me show you. Spin, 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 and lift it up. I also, when I folded it, I had to remove this as well. So just something to notate when you're putting this together. So there are 3 holes, so you can have different heights for your risers. If you're new to Pilates, you're really not going to need to worry about that particular issue. Okay, to save time, I'm not going to put that in for right now. Risers. Okay, this one has the little wheels on the back. So when you fold it in half, you're going to fold it, place the reformer on the wheels, and then roll it away, kind of like a wheelbarrow. So just sort of think about that. It did roll away really easy. Again, it's just a little bit heavy and cumbersome, so it's not something that I would be folding up every single day, in my opinion. You might want to. I wouldn't necessarily do that. All right, let's make our way to the front. So this particular area had a little bit of confusion with on the foot bar. So right, this is called the foot bar. You all should know that if you've done Pilates, and if you're new, foot bar. Introduction. So there's a couple of different settings here, and I couldn't quite figure out what I was supposed to do. What you want to do is pull it and then drop it. Okay, you've got little holes here, which is sort of similar to the commercial units, but depending on where you're putting your feet on your footwork or what exercise that you are doing, you're going to be moving this bad boy around like that. Okay, got it? Okay, next piece, we've got the jump board. Put the jump board on. Jump board's always going to go in the front. Now the commercial units have all different jump boards, so depending on what reformer you get, you'll just have to figure that out yourself. Some of them have knobs in the front to tighten the jump board. This one doesn't. That's the $5,000 machines. Those are the ones that are probably going to have some knobs, and some of them even don't. What you want to do, though, that's important with these jump boards is you're going to take this foot bar and you're going to bring it up so that it's right flush against your jump board. Why? Because this is going to be like a bumper. Okay, this will be right behind. Let me show you, like that. See that? So when you're jumping, I've got something against the jump board. You could risk breaking your jump board if you forget that little piece. So that's really important. So don't forget. All right, let's remove this guy. And this is really cool. They're really easy to uninstall on these machines. So here, again, is your foot pad. Now, again, my manual called it headrest, I think, or head pad, something like that. This is for your feet. So there's two holes right here, and you can take this bad boy and drop it there, right? But the cool thing is you can spin it around and drop it in the other direction as well. So why would I want it in one direction versus the other? Well, length, okay? One of it's slightly smaller, okay, depending on the exercise. So sort of play around with that and see which one works best for you. Let me take this off so we can go to the last pieces on this machine. And I'm hoping this is going to help you again if you have instructions that are confusing you. Also, I'm going to have a video on my channel that shows you how to take care of this too, because you want to know how to clean it properly. You want to make sure you take care of it so that you can get the most out of your machine. Okay, so in the front here, like I said, there's some bands in here that are brand new to the world of Reformer, which is really cool. So they're here in the front, and if you want to attach them, you're going to grab one, you're going to pull it, and you're going to drop it. There's a little notch right there, which is kind of cool. Okay, so you can pull those up and lift them, and then you've got your regular springs. It's a little bit tight in here compared to what you might be used to if you go to a Reformer studio in regards to pulling the springs and placing them on the front. So just sort of be aware of that. It's a little bit tight. I'm not quite used to it just yet, but it does work fine. So you're going to pull that there. Okay, one more last piece here in the front that was not attached. Okay, so I'm going to remove all these springs so that you can see what we're doing here. These little pieces right here were also in my bag. So these are also bumpers. They're bumpers for the front so that you don't bang when you're doing your footwork or anything that you are going to return your carriage in. So remember, this is called the carriage. When you move the carriage in, let me pull it in, right? It's going to hit your bumpers. Okay, remember bumpers in the back. So when you go back, and then bumpers here in the front. So those were not attached. I couldn't really figure out where they were going because they were not called bumpers. I forget what they were called, something else. Anyway, these just came unscrewed when I saw them in the bag, and I figured out where they went, and I just screwed them in like so. Easy breezy, simple, simple, simple. Okay, and then you've got some here in the front as well. And this is just for when you are moving your machine, like so that you don't scratch up the front of your machine. Okay, so we've got springs, we've got bands, which is really cool. You've got your foot bar, you've got your foot pad that goes here. You've got your jump board that goes there. This is called your carriage. You've got your shoulder pads here. Remember, we've got two ideas for shoulder pads here. You've got your headrest that does not adjust. Now, if you need extra neck support, stick a ball or a towel underneath your neck, and that'll help give you a little bit more support. Remember, you've got your risers back here, which, again, if you're a beginner to Pilates, You won't need to worry too much about the risers. If they're low, usually all that happens is that they drive people crazy because they start hitting their shoulders and their legs while they're doing exercises. So you could start with them high and see how that feels for you. And that's really about it. So I hope this helps a little bit so that you kind of have an idea of the pieces as you put them together. And of course, as I said earlier, if you have any more questions, drop it in the comments. I am more than happy to help you. You can even send me a message on the side if you're confused, and I will walk you through this so that you can get on your reformer as soon as possible. Okay, guys, you have a beautiful day. Thank you.